All right, y'all. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Onyx Report, Black Masculinist news for the day. Hope you guys are good. As I said earlier today, since I'm dropping 2 videos in an hour, trying to get back on this horse, I appreciate those of you who are patient enough to stick with me through my little hiatus. But we're trying to get it back going. So appreciate that support. Like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel so we can continue to bring you independent Black male thought, and kind of go from there. So let me see. Just running around today doing too much. But what's good? We got a number of people in the building, nice and early. Professor Ozzy asked about Sandman. I've been hearing about it. I have not watched it. I might do so. Dr. Manhattan, what's up? Sir Shy, appreciate that support. Says it was another Mary Sue version of Pocahontas. We're going to get into it. TJ, Steel Rain, what's up? Brother Zeke, what's going on? Donnie, what's happening? Brother Love, what's up? Hey, Rue. Hakeem, appreciate that support. Ron, what's up? BGS in the building. Good to see you as usual. Marty, got John in here. David, what's going on? So, I got a lot of stuff that I probably need to catch up on. Some of it I may not ever catch up on, really. But as far as today, I got a couple brothers that wanted to chop it up with them about this. One is not here yet, so I'm gonna give him a little more time. And the other is early, which I'm thankful for. Before I bring him in, however, I do want to quickly shout out the passing of somebody who I was a fan of, especially as a kid. Again, I was born in the 70s, came into my teen years in the late 80s. So Magnum PI was one of them shows that I watched. And there I got to watch a lot of Roger E. Mosley. But sadly enough, according to smartnews.com, the brother died at the age of 83 after a car crash. So y'all should remember Mr. Mosley, unless you were too young. But those old episodes of Magnum PI, he was the man. Big dude, in shape, strong. I'm sad to hear that he passed. So shout out to Mr. Mosley. I send my best and my condolences to his family. Yeah, man. So that said, let me go ahead and bring in my good brother, the Green Gorilla himself. What's going on, man?
What's going on? How are you today?
Doing well, man. And if y'all didn't know, he did the intro music. He actually did the music that I'm playing right now in the background. So shout out to the Green Gorilla. You should check his channel. He's got a lot more tracks up there that I think y'all would appreciate, as well as brilliant analysis, as is his Get Down. So what's going on, man? What you been up to?
Man, just basically chilling, man. Trying to stay out of trouble, man. You know how I do.
Real
Yeah.
talk. What's up, Uneducated Lame? AKs and Curtains. What's going on? Joe Average Brother. What's up? I see John Hardaway asked me about Green Lantern. Yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do a review of that. I have watched it a couple times actually, but I hadn't even thought about a review. So let me know if that's something y'all want. But that can be done. What's up, Dardar? So we got some brothers in here. So I had a chance to watch this film twice this past weekend. It came out on Hulu, for those who may not know, and it is a prequel of sorts to the Predator series. I've watched all of them, from the very first one as they came out in theaters. I've watched all of them, and we're going to talk a little bit about this recent one. And I prefer to do it, in the order of what takes place in the film, and we'll try to keep to that. But we'll see how it flows. And another brother should be coming through soon as we kind of chop this up. But as I said, it was released, I think last Friday, on Hulu, which was already a little weird. I expected the next film that would be in theaters or whatever. So that kind of already had me looking at it a little sideways. And we also know over the last week we've seen a major crash in some of these studios, most particularly the WB, Discovery, a lot of slashing of projects that did not look like they were going to yield much of a return, a lot of which were referred to as woke, feminist leaning, and leading. So we've seen a lot of that happening. And I think that was the case with a number of those films. Anyway, this is actually part of that, as far as I'm concerned. But let me go ahead and start out by getting Gigi's thoughts. Now, spoilers, I put it in the title. I hate doing spoiler-free reviews, so if it's not something you want to hear about, understood. Check back in with me later. But we about to get into it. So give us your thoughts, Gigi, initially. Like what made you watch this? What stood out for you, especially early in the film? Give us your impressions early on.
Well, as you know, before I even watched the film, I told you I was about to watch it. I gave you an indication that this was something that I was about to indulge in. Okay.
He kept sending me pissed off texts every 10 minutes. He was.
Yeah, it was something I had took upon myself to do. I said, hey, I'm going to watch this, and I don't know what my impressions will be, but it's something. I'm a sci-fi fan for one,
Right.
and I am a fan of the Predator series in general. I mean, and so I thought to myself, okay, let's do this. Let's check it out. Now, I had no idea that the main protagonist of the movie would be a woman, and I didn't have the idea that it would be set in a different, temporal frame.
Wow.
But it was, and I don't knock any of that. But one thing that I thought before I started watching it, and that I had in mind was that we've done this before with the Predator series.
Mm.
There was a movie, I think it was Predator versus Alien,
Uh-huh.
and Shania Lathan was the main protagonist of that
Finale.
movie.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, like, what's the point of actually going down these steps again, other than to fulfill some sort of political agenda? And I mean, in the movie, it's what I thought it was. It was, I guess you call it Mary Sue. It was just it was basically women can do what men can do. Okay, and not only that, they can do it better than men can, and men don't listen to women, and they should take them serious because they don't. When they don't, they do so at their own peril.
Right. I usually refer to it as in these projects, women. The point is to show that women are better men than men. But same
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, well, or if they're not better than men, they're at least uh, somehow marginalized by men, rendered invisible by men, and therefore uh, they suffer some sort of, and not just themselves, but I mean, the culture at large suffers some sort of deficit for not making them seen, not acknowledging their presence and the wisdom that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So that's,
That's how that's the justification for eliminating men. Well, let's okay. So let's get into it. Now. I'll say this: I did dig the imagery in terms of actually seeing a Native American community. You know what I mean? Out there in the 17th. So if you don't know, this film is set in 1700s, and it's set in a Native American village of Comanches. And you can see a division of labor, right, amongst the men. The men tend to be the hunters. Women tend to be those who deal with the food, the domestic space, and the medicine, right? They gather every morning water and food, plants, whatnot, and the men go off to hunt. And so this is the gender divide that this main character that you see on the screen named Naru, right? This is what she deals with. she does not want to gather with the rest of the women. She wants to do her own thing. So you saw this early in the film, and do you remember what your thoughts were when you started to sense this gender divide, taking place?
The first thing I said to myself was, "Here we go,"
Hmm.
uh, and my only sentiment was, "What is the value in her doing what the boys are doing?" Like, there's an author. I forget the name of the author. I think his last name is Lewis. He used to be a Wall Street executive, and he wrote a book called "Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?"
Okay.
So the first thing I was thinking was, well, why should boys have all the fun? Like, this girl is like, well, going hunting is fun. Gathering roots and medicinal herbs is not fun. But
Mm.
what they're doing is fun. They get to kill things, or they get to track and hunt things down, and that's valuable. But what the women, in terms of a division of labor, have to contribute to the culture is less valuable.
Right.
So which I don't understand. I've never quite understood it. I mean, the whole idea that there's different things that different people and cultures do related to their gender. Uh, I don't see it as necessarily an evil thing or something that causes marginalization or invisibility. Uh, but that's just my 2 cents on that. I,
Well,
you
but,
know,
but notice none of the male characters seem to have have the view that women's work was irrelevant either. They seem to value it. Did
well,
you notice that? They didn't seem. I didn't see any of them, speaking ill of
what,
work. Go ahead.
but I mean, look. The first thing I thought was, and Dr. Tommy has, Curry has mentioned this on several occasions. What we're doing is we're taking identity politics from today
Yes.
and using it in a
Yes.
backward, in a retroactive way
Right.
to assess and to evaluate a culture
Right.
that didn't have any conceptualization of such things.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I thought was, okay, so you're taking today's politics and using it in order to assess culture throughout time. Because I mean, one could argue that the Native American culture was a relatively benign culture
Hmm.
in comparison to that of the white people who came here and committed acts of colonialization and genocide.
Which
I
you
mean,
saw a glimpse of in the film, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, you eventually see a glimpse of that, but I'm like, do you really want to rewrite history and assume that the men in that culture had the exact same viewpoint of women and made the same kind of gestures towards women as the so-called white men today, or any other man in this culture today, with how they would assess women? To me, it just seems absurd.
Right.
And it's the universalization of patriarchy theory, not
Mhm.
just across cultures, but throughout cultures across time.
Okay. Well, let me say. I'll say this at the beginning point. Well, okay. Let me get some of the preliminaries out of the way. Let me do this a little bit now. So I looked this up as I tend to do when it comes to films, and one of the things that I caught on pretty quickly was that. So here you have the film on IMDb, and you can see, the writers, right? I always like to start with who's writing, who's directing, so on and so forth. And these are not necessarily people that I knew about before. You got Dan Trachtenberg, you got Patrick Eisen, Jim Thomas. These are the people that. Well, Jim Thomas has created the original characters in '87, and I believe he was one of the soldiers in the crew in the first movie. But Patrick Eisen, I guess, and Dan Trachtenberg were the two that actually wrote up this story, right? And one of the things I noticed, you can kind of get an indication of what some of the politics are going to be when you actually see who's writing it, right? So let me come back here. Now, this is Patrick Eisenberg. Both pictures are Patrick Eisenberg, or Eisen, excuse me, Patrick Eisen. Sorry about that. Those are both. So both pictures are of Patrick. So you can kind of get an early indication where we're going, right?
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Double take.
Go ahead and process that. Yeah.
I'm mind blown right now. Okay.
so so you get where they're going with it, right? And so and you kind of do get that. So it is as and we saw many of us saw it in the trailer. We responded to it first in the trailer because one of the things I first saw in the trailer was that the predator actually saved her from a bear. And it was one of the interesting things that I thought, even at the time of watching the trailer, I was like, if you already showing me the predator got to save you and you're supposed to be a threat, I'm already kind of questioning if I even want to watch this. But
Oh man, you moved that far ahead that
no,
quickly?
I'm talking about the trailer. That
Oh,
was
okay.
in the trailer.
Oh,
But
okay.
now I'll say this as far as the film itself, I actually did like to see. I thought the people themselves were beautiful. It was seeing the Native American folk out, at that time period, living where they were living. I thought it was great. The imagery was beautifully done in that respect. I liked the fact that they actually used the Comanche language. That was tight. They kind of switch it to English, of course, so you don't have to read subtitles the whole time and, and whatnot. But I like that they kept injecting that, Comanche culture into it throughout the film. I dug that part of it. These are human beings as far as I'm concerned, and displaying the culture, I'm with that. So I didn't have a problem with that. Um, so that was cool. What you get from there is that you get the strict division of labor, and then you get this depiction, which is fairly consistent in feminist projects, where because the feminist idea, and Green Gorilla can speak to this with great depth. The feminist idea is that all women throughout time, since the beginning of time, have been oppressed by all men from the beginning of time. That's the feminist argument, right? It contradicts what he was just saying a moment ago in terms of going back and kind of imagining past periods from this framework. But that's what the feminist argument has put forth over the last few decades, that women in all cultures around the world for all time have been oppressed by men. And you can see them apply that logic to the Comanches in the 1700s. That it's kind of there. And so with this central character, Naru, her interactions with the other men, they're always chiding her. They're always disrespecting her. They're always kind of snapping at her. They're tolerating her, and it kind of sets you up for this, suffering, oppressed woman who has to fight against the big guys to be appreciated. Any thoughts about that?
I mean, look. When I first saw the movie, what I saw was a girl attempting to do what the boys in her village or her tribe were doing,
Mm-hmm.
but was doing it poorly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not as if this phenomenon doesn't exist amongst men. I mean, there are movies with this theme in it. I mean, coming of age movies where boys are nerds or they're outsiders. They don't quite fit up to the standard view of masculinity,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't have popularity like the average boy does, and so they have to prove themselves, and eventually they end up doing so. But I mean, the reality is that some people are good at some things, and some people are not so good at some things, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, given her performance, I mean, she wanted to be a hunter, and she never was able to catch any game.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
mean, okay, but the connotation is that she was being shunned on primarily because she was a girl. Like I'm pretty sure if this girl was killing rabbits and deer left and right, I mean, how can she be denied in terms of value? Uh, I don't want to, let the cat out of the bag here, but I mean, for crying out loud, if you're good at something,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are going to acknowledge it, whether you're male or female, right? But I do understand that there's like a hesitancy, for at least in the movie, there was this hesitancy for her to cross over the boundary and to do what the boys were doing. Okay,
Right.
but I mean, all the while, it wasn't as if she didn't have the opportunity. It wasn't as if her brother and the other boys, had a strict policy, some legal code that says that she can't engage in this practice. The only thing that existed was some sort of social, coercion. That was it. It wasn't as if, you are forbidden from going on the hunt with the boys.
Yeah. Nobody really. The boys were annoyed with her at times, and like so early on, one of the things we see her helping the women terms of gathering water and vegetables or whatever. Then we see her practicing, throwing her axe, running out there with her dog, just kind of doing her thing. And things, and you can even see her have this disagreement with her mother, right? Where her mother is trying to tell her that being one of the hunters is not about proving what you can do, it's about survival, right? So that's one of the tension she has with her mother. So her mother is not really thrilled with her, what she keeps trying to do. But nobody stops her. Nobody tells her not to do it. Her mother's just saying, look, you really, there are other things you could kind of be doing. And so we kind of see her, out there after she's practicing. There's a lion that takes one of the young hunters, right? And so she decides to, after having seen something in the sky, she decides that this is something she needs to participate in. Do you remember that early part?
Yeah, so she notices something abnormal or a
Mhm.
phenomena that she really couldn't give an account of. I mean, who actually could
He
prior
calls
to
it the
the
Thunderbird.
well, I mean, prior to the advent of being able to fly. Period. I mean, I don't think people were
Right,
flying in the
right,
1700s. I mean, the
right.
Wright brothers didn't exist back then. But I mean, so uh, she notices something that's off, and she keeps trying to make people aware that there's something not quite right. But I mean, who's going to take anybody seriously in that regard? Like, okay, I just saw a thunderbird in the sky. Like,
Right.
huh? Like, it's not going to be intelligible to anybody who hears it because it just doesn't seem to make any sense. There's no reference for it. So I don't think on the account that she was a girl. I mean, if there had been a boy who said, "I saw a thunderbird in the sky," like, who's going to take that seriously?
Well,
Makes the
I think they're pointing to Thunderbird as one of the cultural practices, maybe even one of the deities in the culture. And she was saying she had seen it. Nobody else saw it. She mentioned she saw it. And I don't think anybody took that as a threat. I think it was she meant it as this is supposed to be some kind of a sign. And folks just kind of looked at her. I mean, nobody said anything one way or the other, but she kept pushing that there's something going on. There's a problem. We need to be more aware of what's happening. She starts to see tracks that don't look, normal, and nobody really kind of takes her seriously. Although I will say, in some of their defense, she's telling them this while they're dealing with other issues. So when one of the hunters is taken by a lion, they're actually looking for him. When she's starting to point out that there's something else going on, they have different priorities. So that's one of the earliest tensions that
but but
we
wait but
have.
wait but wait a minute, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
These boys are trained hunters.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
they're trackers just as much as she is. Okay,
and that
and
interesting.
and they've already, to some degree or another, have had experiences with catching and tracking things in the wild. They have more experience than she does. So
Mm-hmm.
you mean to tell me that? I mean, they don't notice that there's something else out there as well. They
Mm-hmm.
can't see the tracks. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're all out there
Right.
trying
Yeah,
to catch a lion.
yeah.
Okay,
And none of them are concerned. Um,
I'm,
and to spirit of justice, it was a lion. It was a mountain lion. It's a mountain lion. So not an African lion. It was a mountain lion. But go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I mean, and another thing that we didn't kind of cap off here, when encountered with the lion, because they were both sitting on a branch in a tree, right, preparing to pounce on this lion, or, to ensnare the lion.
Mm-hmm.
One of her, the boy she was talking to, who was rather, obnoxious and sexist, ends up getting snatched by the lion, and then
Right.
she's confronted with the situation in which I forget the word for it or a term, but it starts with an A in the movie where you have to meet the challenge and defend yourself against the prey. Okay.
Oh, I think it was like something like Kutamia or something like that, where you have to hunt something that's hunting you, something like that. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah.
It's kind of a rite of passage.
Correct. Now, but she fails that moment.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't live up to the moment. When encountered with the lion, she had the ability to stab it right in the face. She just doesn't. She falls off the branch and renders herself unconscious by hitting her head on a rock beneath her, and then her brother has to save her and take her back to the encampment.
So
Okay.
let's put it in context. So she's in a tree, right? They're trying to bait the lion, and there's two of them. It's her and, like you said, one of the other male hunters. He is talking shit about how she can't really do this. She's not prepared. She's not ready. And then he gets killed, just gone. We don't even see him again. You don't even see his carcass. The lion gets up in the tree with her. She faces it, falls out of the tree, knocks herself out. Now, nothing happens to her after that. Lion didn't come down off the tree and eat her. Nothing happens. She wakes up, and her brother has taken her back to the village and then gone back out to keep hunting the lion without her. Right? So she wakes up with her mother. And her immediate response is that she needs to go back out and help. And her mother said, if your brother needed your help, he wouldn't have brought you back here. Right?
Man, I would have been grateful for my brother that day.
I
would have been super.
Question. That's an interesting question. Did you notice any gratitude on her part toward her brother at any point in the film?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain degree. I mean, they have a kind of closeness between them due to the fact that they're brother and sister. But, I mean, think about it. Dude, you just saved my life, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Now,
she ain't even say thank you, frat player. Now, she ain't even say thank you, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, no thanks.
None.
I mean, lady.
None.
I mean, sis, I just saved your life. Just like you out here, like, think about it. You out here in the streets trying to hang with me, but you failed miserably to put in work. Sorry, I brought you back and put you in a safe space. Now, I mean, most people who went through that ordeal would be traumatized.
Right.
Not only traumatized, the woman would probably have a concussion, for crying out loud. But it's the movie, so,
But there's some you raised I want to get to, but I also want to get to Donnie's statement. Donnie made an interesting statement. He said, was there a movie montage that time-lapsed her training?
Bro, look.
No, she just had training. She knew as much as the guys and more, and even was checking her brother. Remember when he shot the hawk? She was checking him on why she didn't do it. He did it too early. Like, so she just knew. Let me go ahead and welcome Brother Artisan MC to the stream. What's up, man?
What's good, Dr. T? What's up, GG?
What up,
Dr.
Art?
GG?
What's cracking with you, Art? How you doing, brother?
I'm just trying to get out of here.
We going through the film kind of in order in terms of when things happen. I was keeping it a little slow, trying to wait, for you to come in and join us. We're right around the part, where she wakes up in the village after her brother has to bring her back from the lion hunt. So, and if y'all don't know, check the Artisan MC channel. Artisan has done some reviews of the film, especially during his 11 o'clock Pacific Sunday show. So you can check all of those out. But that's where we are right now. So we're just talking about things as they happen in order and what we think about them. Any thoughts about the lion hunt and her waking up at home with her mother, having been brought back by her brother?
The lion hunt proves that she was not ready because she got distracted. When she's standing on that tree and she's trying to face down that lion with the spear, I give her credit for that, but she was not ready because she got distracted. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's a big no-no. There's no way in hell, I don't care what's going on over off to the side of me, lights, sirens, a whole marching band. If I'm on a tree limb with a mountain lion coming right at me, teeth bared, waiting to pounce, I am not turning my eyes away from that damn thing. There's not a chance. There's no chance that I'm turning my eyes away from it. Because as soon as I do that, it's on me. So I don't care what's going on over there. I got to be focused in front of me. So her falling, slipping off, and then getting knocked out by a rock, like, well, that was BS. We never see what happened with the lion. Like, she should have been dead after that because she stabbed the lion. So apparently the lion would have dropped down to the ground with her and went after her for stabbing it. So I don't know. That's the story problem with me. She just wakes up and like, oh yeah, you were saved. Really? That's okay. She got saved by a fade to black too. Okay.
By a fade. Yeah. One of the most consistent things I'm gonna say is she gets a lot of help, and doesn't ever seem to acknowledge it. But we'll get there. So, anything else you wanted to drop in on that, GG, before we move forward? No, I think I cut you off. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I echo Artisan's sentiments exactly. It's like you failed the test. Not
Mm,
only did you fail the test, I mean, you were rendered unconscious.
mm,
You were saved like a damsel in distress.
mm-hmm.
And after having been saved, you're still worried about going back out. You wouldn't even be in a condition to go back out. That's like taking, like a collision
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
being ready to go back out on the gridiron, like an athlete while you're suffering from CTE.
Oh,
You need to sit down.
yeah, and her mother told her that. Yeah, you need. Yeah,
But of course, this all gets interpreted as patriarchy, and so it serves a political point. The point is that she still has some work to do. There's unfinished business that has to be performed, and she's worried about the predator from the sky. Okay,
right.
so
Now,
she hasn't seen yet, but I mean she knows that there's something out there
right.
that represents a threat to the village or to the tribe,
Now
and
this.
so
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, she's worried about ensuring that this other threat is addressed or attended to, which at this time nobody is actually, cognizant of or
Right.
aware of.
Right.
So, you know, but go ahead, man, because
Well,
I could talk about what happened next because, of course, her brother kills this lion, because he goes back out and tracks the threat that they know of, that they're aware of, okay,
right.
and he brings back the head of the lion. Okay. And after this happens, he is bestowed with honors from the elders of the tribe, and then everybody else, of course, joins in participation of this kind of honorific moment.
Right.
Okay.
Where he's made like the chief hunter. Um, but this was my problem. My first real problem with her because I didn't find her to be a character that I liked. I didn't like her. Usually, when you see a protagonist and a hero figure, you kind of want to at least like them. I didn't like her. In many ways, I liked her about as much as I liked Rey from Star Wars the first time I saw her. And the reason was when her brother came back, right? She didn't thank him. She didn't say congratulations. She didn't even seem happy that he had achieved something. Not just because he saved her life, but because that was her brother. She immediately got onto this kick about having to find this other thing, which is cool. You can do that. But there was no acknowledgement of what her brother achieved. If anything, when he approached her, mind you, she didn't even approach him to acknowledge him. He approached her. She immediately disregarded everything that happened and started focusing on, we need to go find this thing. And it got to the point where the brother had to actually make it clear, even though she initiated it, he agreed with her, you didn't do this. Because I think he started out by saying we did this, and then at a certain point he had to say, yeah, you're right, you didn't do this, you didn't participate in this, and he was trying to say you're not ready, because if you were, you would have done it, So that was one of the things that made me immediately look at her sideways because there was no appreciation for none of
Yeah,
it.
but man, let's face it, man. This girl is a player hater, man.
Mm,
Bottom line, I forget what a Naru, I think. She
Naru, yeah.
she's a
Now,
player hater, man. She is the quintessential chick. Just like I said before. Why do white guys get to have all the fun, just like the black guy who wrote the book? Well, why do boys get to have all the fun? I don't want to do what women are doing. She really did not like the fact that her brother had achieved the honor that he did.
mhm,
She hated it. she was annoyed by him being bestowed with this honor. Okay, why are the honors not given to her?
right,
Because in her mind, I mean, she's good enough, even though she just failed several times. Doesn't mean she has to quit. But I mean, I'm just saying, you did not merit the prize, young lady. You
mhm,
didn't come away with the trophy. And so, your brother at this point has. So if it is the case that there's a social or cultural practice in which people are bestowed honors, it's your duty to also bestow that honor on your brother, especially since he just saved your life, lady.
mhm.
But so that's why you really can't make a connection with her other than her ambitions to do what boys are doing. That's the only that This is the only connection to this character that you could potentially have. Okay? And another thing that you really haven't noticed yet that I noticed all throughout the context of this movie, what's man's best friend?
The dog, yeah.
Who was her best friend?
Dog, yeah.
None of the other boys had dogs or, sidekicks, which, this is an old Western thing. Like I go everywhere with my Winchester and my dog.
Okay.
Or like, it's a sidekick theme in a movie. But typically a dog is man's best friend. They hunt together.
Right.
Right? But the dog has a closer connection to her. So I think that's an appropriation of the whole concept of man's best friend.
Okay.
By means of the producer or the writer or director or whatever the case may be.
Right. Okay. I don't know if Artisan, you still there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm still here. I was just driving through a bad area.
Oh, okay.
But I echo that point that Gigi just said about the whole dog thing. I thought that initially when the movie first came on and I'm seeing the dog, I'm thinking that man's best friend. I'm like, okay, it's just like, okay, here we go. We snatching stuff right off the bat. But when it got to the part that you guys were mentioning about the brother coming back from the hunt with the lion, yeah, that was the moment in the movie I hated that character. I hated her at that point because she was hating on her brother. That was, to me, that was so disrespectful. The whole he earned it, right? He earned the kill, saved her. Everybody else killed the lion, brought it back. He's war chief now, right? The whole tribe is there. They all recognize what he's done. She's the only one sitting there with a sour face and then walks away. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
That's made me hate that character. I was like, that's BS, dude. You don't do that to your brother. That's your older brother. That's your older brother.
And like, he just saved your life.
That was so petty. Yeah, and just saved your life with no thank you. And then tried to give her some of the credit. And she was acting so bitchy. He like, well, forget it. No, you don't have to have any of it then. I'll take it all for myself. Look, he was going above and beyond for his little sister. She was treating him like crap. Like, that was so disrespectful to me. That was too disrespectful. I was like, no. She should have got mama, spanking her with the moccasins or something. That was not okay.
But you know what this prompts her to do. This disdain that she has for this honor being bestowed upon her brother instead of herself. Okay? In seeking to prove that she does have the right stuff in order to be lionized the way that her brother is, she goes back in hopes of tracking down a creature who she sees has feet 3 times the size of her own. And I'm thinking to myself, look, I'm a dude, okay? If I see a cat that's 3 times my size, okay, now I'm 6'3", okay? I wear a size 12 shoes, okay? If I saw a footprint that was 36 inches, 36 long.
Right.
I'm going to say to myself, hey, bro, I'm not fucking around now. Excuse me. I'm not tracking this thing down on my own. Because if you notice, when they go hunting, they hunt together, don't they?
They hunt together. Yes, sir.
They don't hunt by themselves.
No.
They go out together.
Right. In
order to corner an animal that in all likelihood is more ferocious than any man is, okay? By themselves. Okay. Right. Now, of course, men have tools or women have tools that they can use in order to defend themselves or to even, overcome a beast. But think about it, man. She knows it's not a bear because she's able to, use her rational faculties and comprehend this is bigger than a bear.
Right.
Okay? Whatever this is some unparalleled shit. Okay? So I can't look. This is what it really fucks me up. Okay, look. This is a girl who can't kill a rabbit with a machete. Okay.
Damn.
She's going to go out on her own because she's mad about her brother receiving some honor and go track down something that in all likelihood is 4 to 5 times her own size. I mean, at least that's the way, it's characterized in the movie by means of a footprint reference.
Right.
Who does that, man?
Right.
Who in their right mind would even take upon themselves the task of doing something so reckless?
Yeah, as B.R. Charles says, even the Frenchmen hunted in groups. Everybody.
Exactly.
This chick's so goddamn bad, man. Like, I mean, she went out there like, you know what? I could kill Zeus.
Yeah. Me and my dog Toto, we just gonna kill Zeus.
Man, we gonna go out here and track down a spaceman.
And so she's out there by herself, and y'all correct me if I'm incorrect, but it's following her. I don't know if I would say it's hunting her, but it's following her at different points. And this is right around when
it was just crossing her. I think it was crossing her path is what it was. It wasn't even paying her no mind. She's looking for it. It wasn't even really looking for her. It's looking for other stuff.
It wasn't.
So when it.
Go ahead.
No.
Uh-oh. You still there?
Yeah, it looks like he's there.
Yeah, I'm still here. I thought you were saying something.
No, go ahead and finish your point.
Oh, I was going to say that she's looking for it. It wasn't looking for her. It was looking for that bear. It went after that bear. It wasn't looking for her at all. That's why I didn't care that she was there. It wasn't looking for her. But it went after that damn bear.
It followed her all the way up through the bisons, all the way up to where she had her leg in the trap. Like it but I don't think it was hunting her. Whatever it was, whether it was following the bear, whether it was not, it wasn't hunting her. And that's part of her. She even got a little annoyed at that. It wasn't after her. It didn't regard her, which is consistent with the predator theme in all the movies. It does. If it doesn't regard you as a threat, it's almost like the Borg. It ignores you for the most part. But at one point in this part of the scene where we find her running up on the bear, does anybody want to tackle that?
Bro, this is why I start talking to you in this movie. This is where I start texting you.
No, he didn't start. He was texting me every 10 minutes, pointing out bullshit from the beginning of the movie. I would be chilling, and all of a sudden my phone would buzz and be like, "Are you watching this, dog?"
Man, look.
It was hot, man.
No, okay, so look, this is what I actually wrote. Like I messaged Doc. I messaged Hasan. I said, "Hey, yo." So she encounters first of all, I think a bear is trying to hunt another animal or something like that. Maybe they get into it. Okay, so the predator is looking at other predators and prey, and he's assessing his status or his hierarchy in the predator chain, and everything that's a predator he predates. Okay, so just so happens that she's in between his encounter with this bear. Okay, now what does the predator do? He lifts the predator off. Not the predator, but the predator lifts the bear up with, I think, one hand. Okay, now this is a big ass bear, man. The bear's got to at least be
military pressed it.
He military presses a bear, man. I said to John, I said, man, the predator just lifted a bear like a pillow, man. If I saw that shit, I don't care, man. I don't care if I'm Mike Tyson. I don't care who I am, man. I could be bad. What's the name of the guy who beat the steam drill down? I'm John Henry. I don't care. I'm out of there. Okay? I'm not thinking about tracking this shit down anymore. I'm going back to my village. Okay? And I'm baking every motherfucker in there a cake. Okay? I'm collecting flowers. You know, I'm making beds. I'm sweeping up the teepee. Because if something is military pressing a bear, think about it. Now this is a girl. She can't weigh any more than 130 pounds. I mean, am I wrong?
She might not be 130, man. She
Soaking wet. So, first of all, if I am going to go back out there and deal with something like that, I'm going to do so with multitudes of men, okay, or other people. We're going to go out there together and confront this threat, okay? But whatever.
That's why I say she makes these characters end up making better men than men. She doesn't even need the team. It don't even cross her mind to ask for their help. Then to go, she's just on her own. Well, go ahead.
And that pissed me off, man. I was hot right then. Okay, look. At this point, I'm like, this is feminist. This is feminist propaganda on steroids. Okay.
Uneducated lame got you. He said, "Here's a cake for you and a cake for you."
Man, I'm in that bitch Betty Crocker. You understand what I'm saying? I'm in there, man. I'm cooking shit from scratch. Okay. No microwave, no nothing. Okay. Who wants to? There is no human being who can see something like that. I don't care if you're male or female. I don't care if you're in the NFL or you're a WWE wrestler. That's the sort of you pick up people for a living. Okay. Somebody can do that to a bear. It's done. And 130-pound woman. Come on, man. That woman is going to shit herself.
Man, this is one of the things about, if you've ever had martial arts training, if you've ever done contact sports like football or wrestling, in movies, somebody could be 3-4 times your weight and it doesn't mean anything. But when you've actually played these things, and I remember playing Pop Warner football even as a kid. The first time you get knocked to the ground, you really learn a lesson about the power of weight and strength. It's not something to just be dismissed. And a lot of these movies take a lot of liberties with this. But Artisan, chime in on this, man. So we're dealing with the round the bear scene. Tell us what your thoughts are with this.
Well, I didn't think about going back to the village and making everybody a cake, because the tribe didn't eat cake. That's one thing they didn't have. But Gigi pointed out something I did in my in the watch party. He was talking about, yes, the predator was going after other predators just to see where he ranked in the hierarchy, right? The social hierarchy. So he wasn't thinking about her. And yes, she felt dismissed by that fact. My thinking is you should feel lucky. Everything else he saw as a predator died. So don't worry about it, right? Now, that thing fighting that bear and that bear getting with it, but then it one shot in that bear proves to you that she should have been not even messing with this thing. I didn't even think of what Gigi said was, yeah, she should have went back and asked for help, but she didn't. The dog didn't even show up anymore. Like she just out there by herself, still thinking I'm hunting a rabbit or something. Like, that's
true.
No, she should have got out of there. No, that should have been the end of the hunt. Like, I found what it was. It was too damn big. We need a bigger bow. Okay, that's about it.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about it is the bear didn't attack her out of nowhere. She was upwind of the bear, and this is important. If you're a hunter and you're dealing with animals that deal with scent, lions, bears, that was the thing. The bear was looking for food, and it smelled her because she was actually hidden over this kind of ridge-like hill where he couldn't see her. But he smelled her. You saw the wind blow through her, and she realized she was upwind. It smelled her, and then it ran around to find her, and it did. The dog saved her. Now, this is going to be a key thing. So far, her brother has saved her. Her dog saved her from the bear, right? The bear comes after her after the dog, leads it way off the way. It comes right back, right? It's still following her. She's trying to outswim it, and she can't. She manages to get under this, little area where it can't immediately get to her. And that's when the predator jumps out, and the predator saves her from the bear. So she done been saved 3-4 times within the first 30-40 minutes of the movie already, right? So, she sees it, the bear is killed. She gets away. Anybody want to take it from there?
And then after this encounter, right? I think somehow or another she gets reconnected with her tribe. Okay.
Well, they're looking for her.
Yeah. So they're looking for her because she's going off by herself to hunt Quasimodo down or whatever the legend is. In their day, I'll show them. I'll come home with the head of Quasimodo. Okay, lady. All right. So they find her, and I think that there's for some reason they're still hunting or something like that. Whatever the case may be, she gets reconnected with the boys from her tribe. Okay, and she tells them that something is wrong. They dismiss it until the predator, makes himself a part of what they're doing and perceives them as a threat and wants to take them on for trophies. Okay, and the predator for the most part decimates those boys. Think about it. What is the reason that the Native Americans were overtaken so easily by Europeans? I know disease is one factor, but guns are another factor.
Okay.
So you're dealing with an entity that can fly from one solar system to another. This guy has superpower technology, man, of lethality.
Right.
Who can beat that? And I know that the predator is making himself, he's exposing himself to harm for the sport of it all. Okay, but for crying out loud, come on, man, this dude's got it's like me running up on 4 or 5 guys and I got two Uzis and they have nothing. Okay, they might have some rocks or something like that, or some bows and arrows or whatever. But and even then, it really wouldn't matter to the predator because this guy's got armor and shit like that. So,
yes, Dr. Manhattan said Comanche girl magic. But God damn. But let's be clear about something too. So the hunting party is looking for her because her brother sent them to find her. Understand, her brother has been supporting her the whole time. When the rest of the hunters wanted her to go back home, he was the one that said, no, she can do this, she can stay. He kept advocating for her, but he wasn't weak about it because he would advocate. Then he'd look at her and he'd say, now you have to perform. You have to do what I said you can do if you're going to be here. He would do that. But he sent them to find her. And this is the thing. They find her, and what's the first thing that happens? She ends up in a fight. And she pretty much
she whips the boy's ass. Yeah,
she beats the hunter up, right? She beats one of the hunters up. And it was just kind of okay. All right. But Artisan, chime in on this, man. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that whole part where she actually met up with the rest of the hunting party and they're trying to take her back. I got kind of irritated with that because, like you were mentioning, the fight was lame. You get into a fist fight with these guys that are already trained hunters. They already went through their trials and faced down animals and everything else. Now you want to fight with them because you don't want to go back. Of course, you don't take no punch to the face until the very end. I'm like, well, that wasn't actually a fight then. What are we doing? They obviously going easy on me. I thought that was stupid, right? But she is kicking this dude's ass. I'm like, come on, this is lame. But what it leads to is her going again to lead somebody else to their death. Because as soon as I saw that scene, and I'm sitting here thinking she shouldn't be taking on these other hunters. I'm like, wait a minute, they're gonna get killed. She's gonna be the only hunter left. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So you made it by attrition.
And look, Artisan, do you know what that would be the equivalent of? That would be the equivalent of a woman who's not part of the police force whipping a police officer's ass. Okay?
You don't want a 100-pound woman with no fighting experience? Okay, but go ahead.
She would end up whipping one of the police officers' behinds. Okay? In assistance that she wants to also be a police officer. She wants to be part of, that particular, part of the tribe. And so what they end up doing is, they end up arresting her for real. They end up tying her up,
Right.
which I think, is a little extreme. I mean, why would they tie her up? I mean, as if to say she's a prisoner. Like, who would do that? This is a medicine woman's fucking daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to do that to the medicine woman's daughter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they might get into a fight, but tie her up? I just thought it was unrealistic for them to tie her up. I mean, she was a problem, but I mean, that big of a problem?
I think it adds to the narrative that, she was oppressed because they wouldn't accept her, for doing what she wanted to do. And your point stands. After that, the predator shows up, and they all, for the most part, die. And they died quick. It ain't like any of them are, really much of a threat. They die pretty fast.
Man, the predator's got infrared trackers, man, in his helmet. Okay, all he's got to do is look at you. He ain't got to aim. It's gonna hit you where it hurts. It's gonna hit you where it kills you. Okay, instantly. The predator is chopping off arms. He's ripping your frame out of your body. Okay, that's what the predator is doing with ease and technical efficiency. Okay, so
and then he lets her run away when he's done. So yet again, that's not the first time he let her run. She runs then. Like Artisan over here is smiling. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Saved again. Like I said, she got more track miles in this movie than anybody because all she doing is leading them to the next buffet. Like she put more people in front of him to kill than her fighting him to get revenge for anything. It's like it was dumb. And I remember something I wanted to say earlier to Gigi's point. The predator, for the most part, if you look at it just on the technological versus the primitive weapons thing, basically the predators do use primitive weapons outside of the cloaking device that they have, and occasionally one projectile weapon. They use bladed weapons, so they're still using very primitive. They don't wear a lot of armor. Yeah, they got their head helmet on and the shoulder pieces to mount their other weapons on. But most of the other shit is all bladed weapons. It's all knives and spears and stuff like that. So that's where you get into that whole thing of really being, a savage's savage in a sense. They're showing bare flesh most of the time. So they can be hurt, they can bleed. But they just get more efficient at doing what they do with what they have. That's why it's always, it's a hand-to-hand combat situation. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the tech edge is so much because you can see it can be defeated by different things at different times,
But wait a minute, hold on.
Get them wet, cloaking devices.
Artisan, I'm with you to a certain extent on the hand-to-hand combat, but the predators also have explosives, okay, and cloaking technology. Like the only other animals in nature to have cloaking technology are chameleons or some shit like that. Okay. That's an advantage right there. Like if something can't see you, it can't kill you. This guy has infrared technology. He can see something just by looking at the heat exchange, okay? The transfer of heat from the body. Okay? That's advantage right there. Like if you're that bad and you want to be a savage and get to the most primitive state, now, and I do agree with you about the hand-to-hand combat. But why is it necessary for you to be invisible, player? Come on, man. You're a spaceman. You let people see you. Let them see you.
So I look at it like a sniper with a ghillie suit on. Yeah, I'm a human just like you a human, but I ain't gonna make it easy for you. That's stupid.
I want to respond to, and I don't know if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Yasuki in the chat is saying that I was wrong about the war party's fight against the predator, that it wasn't easy. And I would just say, compare their fight with the brother and his fight with the predator, which we'll get to in a minute. That's a fight. They didn't offer that much of a challenge. They did not hurt the predator in any significant degree. And there's this, and NJ Prophet is trying to say that she hurt the lion to such a degree that it helped her brother catch it. I don't agree with that. I don't think the lion was significantly injured. I'm not saying
Look,
she
this is a movie.
but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
if you didn't show it, in the movie, it didn't happen. She stabbed it in the side.
And
that was it.
It didn't stop nothing. Did you see it run away? Did you see, when an animal is triggered or hurt, it, and it still has function of its legs, it will get the fuck away. It did not do that. It was not damaged or anything. Neither the lion or the predator were significantly injured up to the points we're talking about so far, but at least until the brother killed the lion. But anyway, so let's continue though. So we got the French, right? These are fur hunters, that are now hunting the predator. And she gets captured by them by stepping in a trap, right? So the predator is following her at that point, but it's not really after her. She gets caught in a trap. It just kind of examines the chain that's holding her there. And then she gets captured by the French and put in a cage where she finds her, her brother being, when she wakes up, her brother being tortured after having been captured by the same French. Any thoughts about that?
I would say that her being caught in the trap, the whole 95 pounds of her, that trap going off with her leg in there, her leg should have been broken in half. I don't know if anybody saw The Quiet Place, but when a bear trap closes on your leg, it is not pretty. And you do not walk after that. She shook that shit off like she only needed a Band-Aid and call it a day. No, that's not how traps work. That's not how the traps work. That was the softest closing trap I ever seen.
If you could walk, you'd be at least limping severely the rest of the time. Didn't see that happen.
I thought that was some bullshit. Like, man, you got caught in a bear trap, and all you got is like a superficial flesh wound. I'm like, hey, man, all I saw next was, okay, now it's time to criticize white colonialists, which, I don't have a problem with that. Okay. But I mean, just her like nastiness in the face of that, like, come on, man, like you're gonna be pretty much submissive in a situation when you're in a damn cage. I mean, what you gonna gnash and bury your teeth to somebody who has you in a cage? All they have to do is impale you. That man he was pointing a stick at her. Like if he wanted to spear her or skewer her, he could have. Point blank. Now, but she's still defiant. Just that raw feminine energy. That warrior princess energy. And I don't have a problem with it. I also understand that men do things that are unrealistic in the movies, okay? I do get it. But it's even more unrealistic when you Mary Sue it. That's all we're saying. And women are overcoming even more significant odds than men, and they have less to work with in terms of physical prowess. Okay?
And training. Because what you were saying earlier about the likelihood of this kind of character, it reminded me yet again of Rey, right, in Star Wars. So you got somebody that hadn't even heard of the Force 5 minutes prior, and now she's beaten a Sith Lord. No training. See, this is the kind of dynamic. Now, it's not as dramatic in this film, but it ain't too far off in certain respects, especially when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. But y'all go ahead. You can mention anything that's happened from here on. What else stood out to you?
The return of the dog was fine. I'm like, okay, it was caught by the French trappers. Okay, big deal. Her brother got caught. They punking her brother, cut her brother open so that he could use them as bait for the predator.
Right.
Okay, all well and good. There's somebody who shows up that actually knows her language and can talk to her. And like Gigi was saying, she's still defiant in their face while she's in a trap. Like, okay, well, once again, you done blacked out. You should be dead, but you're not. Once again, Fade to Black saved you. And here you are, talking tough in the cage. Like, you in the box. You in the hot box. Shut up. Nobody's buying that right now. It brought me stupid, too. But do I care about them killing the French trappers? Like, okay, yeah. There's the colonizers here, right? Like, okay, whatever. This is what it is. These are the dudes that's wasting all the buffalo. Okay, well, I'm waiting for them to die anyway. So,
Right.
Well, okay, so this
moving
is what kills me, right? So they ended up both her and her brother get used as bait in order to draw the predator in, right?
Right.
This is what pissed me off. So this guy's, man, like, her brother has just been through it, okay?
Mhm.
They just sliced his ass up. And she asked him, are you okay? My first instinct was, nah, bitch, I'm fucked up. I just got fucking sliced from stem to stern. And have you ever been cut with a knife before? That shit hurts, bro. So no, he wasn't okay. Yeah, but anyway, the whole point is, after that, they eventually do draw the predator in, and they try to attack him. I mean, it's like dozens of men out there, man, with ballistic weapons, shooting at the predator.
Right.
Okay? The predator, for the most part, kills these people with ease. No sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how they end up getting loose. I can't recall. Okay? Her and her brother
she uses the trap to cut what's tying her and her brother together.
Yes.
Not her brother. She does. She figures out to use the trap to get free. Right.
Because, of course, she's the smart one. She's the one. She's the smart one. She knows more. She's more cunning than her brother is. Okay.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, because I don't think that they imply in the movie that her brother is not capable or anything like that. I think
no, but they do imply that she's smarter. Remember when he killed the hawk? He said, you were sleeping. She said, no, I was waiting for it to come back around. Now you have to go out there
chase it. Yeah, you got to go.
So they give you little implications that she's smarter than her brother, but he kind of gets over because he's a man. But it's not overt in that respect. It's real subtle. But go ahead.
Yeah, so at any rate, this predator, man, like, just to show you, if 30 men can't take on the predator, I'm just saying, in the end of the movie, it's 2 of them taking on a spaceman who can become invisible, who has explosives and infrared technology and a shield that would rival that of Captain America himself. Okay? Because whatever shield this alien has, man, that's a bad-ass shield. I want one of those. Okay?
Look, this is, and I want both of y'all to chime in on this. Before we get to that final fight, right? Even before we get to the fight, I think, with the brother and the alien, which I thought was phenomenal, by the way. That was a really interesting fight. She kills 5 Frenchmen by herself.
5 dudes, man. I said, damn, boy, I need her on my team.
I'm like, yo, wait a minute. She just kills 5 of them. So this is what, so I'm just like, really? 5?
Yeah, they kind of threw that shit in there in the mix of all that other carnage that was going on. Like, you were gonna forget. It's like, oh, so she's just a straight killer now. I mean, so she went from 5 rabbits to 5 men in the same 2 days?
No, she went from 0 rabbits.
Yeah, 0 rabbits.
She
went from 0.
She went from not being able to hit nothing. Think about it. She went from the B League to All-Star game in a matter of a couple hours.
Right. She's joining John Wick now. Like, wait a minute.
And
you wasn't even ready.
In like less than 60 seconds. Like, it wasn't like she followed them and tracked them and, waited till they weren't looking and cut their throat. No, she killed all 5 of them hand to hand, straightforward, under a minute. I'm like, okay.
Bruh, she did it like she was she was Bruce Lee, man.
Yeah,
she had jujitsu skills, she had weapon skills, she had she was like going for vital organs and everything, like super, like no problemo. I said, man, if that's the case, what the fuck was the white people? How did they even colonize the Comanche? How is it possible with her as the warlord? Because all them bad, if a 130-pound woman can do that shit, the white people who came to this country did not stand a chance. Not a chance, bro.
And so,
not a chance.
By the time the predator comes back through, right, her brother comes in and fights it hand to hand. But he's not doing so arbitrarily. He's buying her time to get away. So yet again, her brother saves her and gives his life doing so. Now, he gave his life in epic fashion. That fight was cold. He was shooting it with arrows, pulling the arrows out by hand and reshooting it. And he did it
close range. Yeah, close range.
Yes, close range. But even after all of that, as epic as that fight was, he dies.
Yeah. Well, I'll not to take the point off of that real quick, but I just backtrack a half a second just to prove this point before we get to the next one after this.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch this movie, watch that scene where the predator is taking on all those Frenchmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
He one-handing people. He throwing them yards. He throwing traps and stuff like that. It shows that the predator has like superhuman strength in a sense, right? He's stronger than people because he can handle two grown men at the same time. Now remember that, because after this, that's where the shit go off the rails. Now the fight with her brother, that was an epic scene because the brother came in and I guess 3 times the charm, saved the ass again.
Yes.
And he's doing some close quarters arrow work that I love seeing, because you don't usually see that. You always think of a bow and arrow as a long range weapon. He's in close quarters using a bow and arrow and doing it efficiently. I'm like, damn, that's awesome. But that last scene is like, okay, I need you to go. I was like, that was bullshit. Like, no, not him, not now. Like, dude, he the only one with, a positive count on the save meter. I'm like, no, you can't kill him now.
And I'm in complete agreement, because I actually go to the range with both guns and bow and arrows, and the bow and arrow ain't no joke, especially at close range. That's a problem.
No,
that is a problem.
It might as well be a bullet at close range.
Exactly. Well, yeah. If you get shot in point blank range with a bow and arrow, you're gonna see it in whatever tree it hits before you actually see it in you. It's just gonna go through you. It's just gonna go through you. You know what I mean? Right. So the brothers' fight was ill. But all right. So anything after that? So what else do we talk about? What else happened?
I mean, bro, go ahead, man. Look.
No, Gigi, I was burping. Go ahead. My bad.
But at this point, you already know what the end state of the movie is going to be. Okay? Because I mean, her brother puts enough damage on the predator, but then she starts using her brain again. She's cunning, she's strategic, and she outwits the predator.
Mm-hmm.
And she ultimately ends up killing the predator with what?
His own weapon. Yeah.
His own weapon, his mask. So the one smart thing she does is she takes the mask from the predator, and she uses it in order to lure him in so that his own technology would be his undoing. Okay.
After she figures out that you can use the herbs to hide your temperature from it, you can become invisible. She figures it out,
which I thought was some bullshit. Like, wait a minute, word.
So all we need to do is eat some dandelions.
I was like, word. I'm like Dave Chappelle on this one. Word. All I got to do is just eat some yellow, what the orange root.
Yeah, it was just dandelion petals. That's all it was dandelion petals.
Bro, I'm like,
word, bitch. That's all we need.
So
Arnold Schwarzenegger, at least you had the mud, and he had to cover every part of his body. With what's his name? I want to call him Adrian Brody, but I don't know if that's the right name for him. But in the Predators movie, right?
You're right. Yeah, it was Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody. Thank you. He figures out how to cloak himself. One of the ways he did it, which was actually to stand in front of an explosion. So they were strategic. It was I was like, flower petals, and within seconds. Right. So even if we're going to say flower petals can do that, if you chew it within seconds, your body temperature is so low it can't see.
Yeah, it digested that fast.
All right, come on. Go ahead.
I was like, man, that's some straight bullshit. That's what I was thinking. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Word, all she gotta do is just eat some shit, and then the predator can't see her. Okay, cool. I'm cool with that though, because it's unrealistic to fight a spaceman and win anyway. but the only problem with this is here's my issue with it, right? There is a lore about Predator. Okay? It's a lore to it all. Okay? And it's not as if we haven't seen this before. Okay, we saw Sanaya Lathan defeat the Predator. Okay,
right.
Before, but ultimately they they wound up working with each other in order to fight the aliens. Okay, so she has some significant help there. I don't know what you think, but I mean, having a Predator befriend you and to help you face a challenge, in terms of, in a war-like situation, right. I would want one of them motherfuckers on my side too.
Right.
Yes, I would too.
Okay.
I can say
that's my first pick.
The way Ripley was written in the original Aliens, I dug it. Made perfect sense. The way Sanaa Lathan's character dealt with the way they problem solved and handled each step, and even the assistance they got that they acknowledged that they got, all of that really kind of made sense. I didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the fact that you have a woman that defeated an alien. My problem with this movie is how it happens, how the whole movie kind of carries out. One, I just didn't like the character because she wasn't a likable person, really. But two, it was poorly written in terms of the things that happen and how she goes about her. Because look, there's a point where she's pointing a gun at it, and it looks at her, and it doesn't do anything.
That's not Predator. That's not Predator type energy.
No.
Right there.
The Predator will basically ignore you, but the moment, I don't care if you pick up a stick, if you pick something up that it regards as a weapon, it treats you like a threat. It watched her pick a gun up and aim it at him, and it didn't do anything. I'm like,
well,
okay.
it did that twice because it did it with the Frenchman too, but the Frenchman actually got off a shot and killed himself.
Well,
so
the Predator's shield. Go ahead.
Well, no, it was his fucking helmet. Helmet just reflected the fucking metal shot back at his ass. He just bounced off his head, basically. So he wasn't too shook on that damn thing, apparently. But yes, you're right about that. Predators usually, if you got a weapon and you pointing it at it, you just sealed your own fate. You need to, maintain low tones and keep your hands empty. Otherwise, you're gonna get skewered.
So my whole problem with the whole movie is like, okay, like you said earlier, both of y'all, I think, we don't have a problem with women doing heroic shit in the context of a movie. But what we don't need is intersectional or feminist politics getting in the middle of them doing that.
No.
Like, why does that have to be written into the story? Now, take, for example, the Alien movie. Dope ass movie, man. One of the greatest sci-fi classics of all time. Sigourney Weaver.
Right.
She defeated the alien. But there was no subtext of feminist philosophy having anything to do with it.
No, I do you one better with Sarah Connor, T2.
Oh yeah.
What you saw in the first Terminator was not what you got in the second Terminator. She came back hard.
Yeah.
And she came back hardcore, locked and ready to rock. She was trying to handle business. She got on her mission and got trained up and was ready for it.
Right.
It wasn't no feminist message in that either. Outside of, you want to empower yourself? Well, get with some of these dudes that know this stuff and start learning.
And that's the point. She went out and got trained. She didn't wake up and know how to handle any weapon she picked up. She sought men out who had military training, and they shared their skills with her. You know what I'm saying? That was well-written material. Now, I want to make a point, but I want Gigi to finish his. Go ahead, man.
No, I think y'all are nailing it. Like the whole point is every hero has to go through a stage of development in some way or the other. It's not just, I believe in myself. Like, take, for instance, Doctor Strange. Okay? Took him years to get to the point where, who knows what, because Doctor Strange and time is a kind of weird dynamic. But the whole point is he was so cocky and self-assured, and that was the very thing that prevented him from being actually able to manifest the kind of power that he needed or that was necessary for him to be, or evolve into the character that, he eventually became, okay? But you see this as part of the hero's journey. They have to overcome, they don't believe in themselves. Okay? But this is the exact inverse of this. This is someone who is overconfident. So like, not to say that the hero's journey is the only kind of arc, okay, that a story could take. But typically, the hero is called and they reject the call for whatever reason. Like, I don't believe that this is something that I am worthy of actually doing. Okay? I don't feel like this is my path. Why me? Why am I supposed to be doing this? And then there's an old sage which tells them, you can do this. Or, eventually, after an arduous process, you even see this shit in the Karate Kid. Mm-hmm. You got to go through a process of rigorous training and discipline. Okay?
But there's growth. There's growth. The character grows. Usually in the hero's journey, the beginning, the hero is fairly selfish. They're thinking about themselves and their immediate situation. By the end of the hero's journey, they learn to appreciate the value of helping others and sacrificing for others. Her whole point in doing this, as she says to her mother, is I want to do this because you all think I can't. Did you get any sense that she grew by the end of the story in any of that?
No. I just see it as a Native American cities girls, bitch. Like, I mean, like, I can do anything a man can do. Like, anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. I'm like, okay, so look. The only reason you want to do it, like, you don't want to do it because you find what's being done intrinsically valuable. You just want to do the shit because somebody said you can't do it, or you just want to be one of the guys or some shit like that.
Right.
Like, come on, man. This is the most. That's why I say it's the exact inverse of the hero's journey. And like what it's you're not doing it to really help the tribe. You just want to be honored by the tribe.
Exactly. Just like Rey from Star Wars. There's no hero's journey. She is in the beginning what she always is. She does learn a couple skills, but she doesn't change as a person. She already knows everything that's important to know. And it's this idea, that women just are. Men have to become. Women just are. They wake up one day, they can have babies, and they are women. Men have to go become men based on things they accomplish and grow. That's the narrative difference I think we see in how these characters are written. I don't see a growth arc with her. She pays attention to the predator. She notices some things, but at the end of the movie, she doesn't strike me as any more wise or developed than she was at the beginning. Beginning, she was selfish and self-concerned, and that doesn't change.
But man, again,
just got promoted because she got everybody else killed, so she was the only one to come back. So it's like, okay, that's one way to do it.
So peep game, right? So again, y'all, you hit the nail on the head. Why does she do everything she's doing? Why does she want to hunt wild game? She wants to do it because her mother and her brother thinks that she can't, and that's motivation enough. So right at the center there is just political defiance for no aim other than to show somebody else, to show them up. Which is trivial, okay?
And it's selfish, but real quick, shout out to Angry Man. So the Angry Man's in the chat. What's good, fam? He says, historically, the Comanche had very specific gender roles. They would have never allowed her to hunt. Plus, that fall, plus hitting her head on the rock would have put her out of commission.
Yeah, but I said that shit.
Hold on. He didn't even mention the bear trap. So she done got hit in the head. She done fallen. And then later got hit in a bear trap. She walking around like nothing happened.
Yeah, she good. She Gucci.
But peep it though.
Go ahead.
Well, shout out to the Angry Man. But like you said, look, women can do anything men can do, but even better than men. Mm-hmm. Now this begs the question to me, right? Why haven't women done any of this shit before? To the same degree as men. Like for example, why aren't women out there hunting like a motherfucker? In general, okay? The answer is simple, man, according to the feminists. Because of the ubiquitous, and I mean that's all throughout all time, okay? and the oppressive patriarchy.
Keeping them going out and hunting.
A debilitating form of social organization that limits women's capacities and powers. It's not the choices women have made throughout eons that places women where they are by means of their own kinds of social practices. No, but it's the violent and manipulative men that refuse to do their share of cooking and child rearing.
Exactly. Now, let me put this out. I'm post the link, but I'm only posting the link for two people because we're going longer than I wanted to. But I'm putting it up for Angry Man or for Charles.
We got to get Angry Man up here.
Angry Man or Charles, if you guys want to come through, I'm putting the link in the chat. If you're not Angry Man or Charles, I'm not going to bring you up because I do want to kind of keep this contained. But I do want to say something Artisan brought up earlier, and I want him to finish his point because you talked about the body slam, you talked about the strength of it. Go ahead and finish your point in terms of the final fight with Naru and the Predator.
Right, and thank you for bringing that back up because I was still thinking of that. That was the whole point where I was saying, remember the fight with the Frenchman, how this Predator is sitting here overpowering these grown-ass men, some of them overweight, with one hand or whatever, throwing them all over the place, all of that. Now, there's a point in this fight where it's Naru and the Predator going toe-to-toe, and he fucking, windmill choke slams her ass on the ground, which I said, okay, her back is broken, fight over. No, she bounces right back up. I was like, what the hell, dude? She should be dead again. Yeah. She should be dead again. He just one hand choke slammed her into the ground. Now, with her 90-pound ass. Come on, man.
I want Charles to chime in on this because it's important. Now, I just want to say real quickly, Charles, to set you up. At that point in the film, I paused the movie and I looked at my son. My son has wrestled before. He wrestled for 3 years through middle school, elementary to middle school, right? And he said, well, what's the problem? I said, well, did you have any problem with the scene just now where she got slammed? He said, no. I said, okay. Remember when you got slammed in wrestling practice? I said, what happened? He said, I couldn't breathe. I said, okay. Revisit the scene and tell me. He was like, oh, yeah, that didn't seem right. Now, Charles, you've taught wrestling, right?
I've actually got 4 championships and a bronze medal overseas.
Go ahead and tell me about it. Tell me what happens when you get slammed, sir.
Okay. I'm just going to tell you this one match of my junior year, going for my second title. The preliminary match, the guy poked me in the eye, so I grabbed him in a double leg. I had his hand behind him, and I broke his arm with a double leg slam, or the double leg takedown. I lifted him up, and from his shoulder, elbow, and wrist, snack, crackle, pop. I'm 5'10", okay? So if I'm picking you up above my head or shoulder, that's about 6 feet, 6'2". From 5'10", or about 5', that's about 3,000 pounds of force that you're driving a person into a floor. They done the science on this. And you're telling me somebody who's conditioned their body for this type of impact, just like boxing, your facial structure, your bone density, your muscle density increases because of the blunt force trauma. I was literally thrown one time by my coach's son, Poncho. Not only could he wrestle, but he had a black belt in Aikido.
Ooh.
He threw me so hard that the capillary, and we're still on a 2.5-inch mat. He threw me so hard, the capillaries in my mouth burst. So basically, I was bleeding with no open wounds from my mouth.
Damn.
So I've taken blows from heavyweight boxers, gave some back. I've actually dropped heavyweight boxers with jabs. And I didn't see this movie because I could pretty much tell you this movie from the scenes. And I'll even go real life experience. We had 3 female officers, 1 sergeant, 2 officers. And funny as enough, those 2 officers are now sergeants now. Go fucking figure. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
They get to a suspect. The suspect try to hug the sergeant. Sergeant noticed that he had a gun in his dip. So sergeant's holding on for dear life. They're trying to subdue this guy, and basically he's not even really fighting them hard. He actually ends up putting them all in a hospital, and it took a male officer to subdue him by himself. So I'm supposed to believe that a 7 foot, 300 to 400 pound, nothing but sheer muscle is going to be overpowered by this little Comanche. I don't know what tribe she's from.
Comanche, yeah.
Comanche female who are not the warriors, have none of the experience, none of the training, and I'm supposed to believe this BS. Like even in my best day, the most I ever military press snatched from the ground, came to my chest and over my head was 270 pounds. Almost 300 pounds. So you're telling me something that gets a bear overhead, you're telling me one armed.
Well, and more than that, it's also taking bullets and arrows, and none of those are penetrating and going through to any extent, to any major extent. But I want to bring Angry Man into this. What's up, fam?
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, man, appreciate you coming through.
Peace to the Angry Man.
Yeah, man. Give us your thoughts on this, man.
Okay. The one piece of overall ridiculousness is that if she was able, in the end, y'all spoiling, right?
Yeah, we spoiled. Yeah.
So in the end, the way she defeated the Predator, right? If she was able to defeat him like that, even with all of the scenarios that happened at the end, there's no way that Predator would have beat those Indian Braves. There's no way. If they teamed up on that Predator, if he was bungling like that, there's no way they would have took, because those Comanche Braves held their own.
Yes,
they held their own, and you know, me personally, I like the Predator, but the Predator cheats. Let's be real.
He kept the cloak up the whole fight.
He's invisible the majority of the fight. You know what I'm saying? So when he surprised the Comanche Braves, right, when they was bringing her back, right, and I would have been, I was some of the movie I felt indifferent to, because when she didn't want to go back and they started, you know, getting at her, I was like, okay, there's a little bit of realisticness. You know what I'm saying? So then when he snatched up one of the Braves, right, the other one with the arrow, I was like, oh shit, because he couldn't see the Predator, but just off of pure instinct, he fired an arrow at him. And then they could see where he was at. Not to mention the fact that her older brother was giving the Predator the business by himself.
That was the best fight to me. That was the best fight in the movie. Her brother.
By himself. So number one, it's like, okay, if you're gonna make the Predator the way he traditionally is, where he's just going to town on everybody, okay, then we can see him just decimating everybody. But if you're gonna have him in a situation where this girl is able to beat him like that, then logically it doesn't make sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense that he was able to defeat the bear.
Well,
the bear was mauling him. Bear was mauling him.
Bear was having a way with his ass.
Brave Star. You forgot that Brave Star is now a chick.
Wow.
Strength. Strength of the goddamn bear, man. You got to think.
Wow.
She's basically invoking warrior prowess, but never was the warrior. They basically made her brave. They made her literally brave.
You're bored then, Charles. But did anybody notice that she pulled its tooth out by hand?
Yeah, she broke one of his mouth talons.
I was wondering what she grabbed. What she grabbed, because even right there in that situation, she should have bought it, because he had her by the neck. He's a predator. Her neck should have been crushed. You know, this thing is like, how tall is the Predator? Like 8 feet tall?
Yeah, like 7-8 feet tall.
And this wasn't a
full grown.
The one thing that I noticed, because they were really going for a Native American theme, that Predator seemed like a young Predator.
Okay.
He was.
So it's like, okay, he's a young predator. There's no way she's gonna defeat that dude. There's no way. It's just impossible. And what really annoyed me more than anything, like I like historical movies, but I hate when they, and y'all were already discussing this, but I hate when they try to insert certain things because it's like you're trying to rewrite history. Because most of the kids watching this stuff, they're not really into actual history. They'll see movies like this, that's a time period movie, and they'll think, oh yeah, you know, women back then were fighting for equality. No, women back then knew their place and didn't challenge that.
No.
You know,
they're at the TP making medicine.
Yeah,
like cake.
I told Artisan yesterday when he was doing his review, the moment she tied that string to the damn tomahawk, using it like a freaking scorpion. Get over here. I was like, okay, it's about to get goofy. Because that doesn't even, what did Spider-Man say? He's like, man, that thing does not obey the laws of
physics. Right? Exactly my point on that.
And she taught herself how to use it in a good 2 minutes. Like it wasn't like she'd been practicing for years.
Hey, bro, I saw that shit. She was throwing it one side, caught it, threw it to the other side, threw it behind her. I was like, damn, she got 45-degree 180s and 360s popping with this damn hatchet, man. Who, by the way, her father gave her the fucking hatchet.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that a hatchet had the properties of Mjolnir. So.
Come on. Come on.
They figured out the way to give it those properties. They figured out a way to do it.
With a hemp rope, bro.
With it, right.
Right.
But the thing about it is she was clearly the first person to ever think of doing it, because when one of the natives saw it, he looked at it and he said, oh, you need a leash for your axe now?
Oh my God. Their level of obliviousness was crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like she was schooling them, and I'm like, these are Comanche braves. Like,
yeah, these are the hunters. What are you talking about?
And I don't even think. See, here's the thing. Some of the young cats watching this right now, you probably watch some of these new movies. I don't think you understand how gangster a Comanche brave was. Like, bruh, these dudes, man, they fought. They had a war. They had a war against, white settlers for like 40 years, bro. Like,
hey,
so,
man. Hey, angry man. That's why I said, bro, if they have a population of women like that as a part of their tribe, the fucking Europeans didn't have a shot coming to this motherfucker. They didn't have a chance coming against them. If they had women who had half of the chutzpah of this Nauru chick, man. So that's hey, look, all I can say is, bro, this movie on my tomato meter, I give it a minus 10%, man.
Minus 10%.
But I will say, to the movie's defense, cinematography wise, awesome. It was a great movie. The special effects were great. The storyline, what I'm tired of seeing is identity politics being put in coming of age male murder action shit. I'm tired of seeing them take over the genre. Identity politics. I'm sick of that.
You know what, Gorilla? This is what annoyed me about that part.
Mm-hmm.
There was, like I told Artisan, there was a good movie in there.
It was.
It had the makings of a good movie, but my thing is, why did it have to be a chick?
Because they needed
been a younger Comanche brave that had not made his bones yet. Why did it have to be? Because I've been noticing this lately. I want to see if you've been noticing this, Dr. T. Hasan Johnson. Lately, what they've been doing, normally they'll have an older guy in a movie and then he has to train a young boy. Now it's always an older guy and a girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're doing it every single movie, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what. I tell you. Hold on. Let me say one thing, and I'm gonna tell everybody out here right now. One movie. It might seem silly, but RRR is the movie you need to see. On Netflix. And the reason you need to see it
on my list.
The reason you need to see it is because this is a movie that it's fantastical, just like The Predator is. Okay, we know it's fantastic. But the point is, it's nationalistic. And when I saw the movie, like we talk about black nationalism and black people coming together, uniting around a common political thing, we know now this shit does not exist in our community. It doesn't exist in American culture right now. Because white women, for the most part, I saw a comment in the chat, but let me just speak on what it is. We don't think like white guys. This is not the problem. Because we think like white men. Okay? The problem is white women are thinking like white men. That's the problem. Because they want to insert, all you got to do is insert a woman here. And shit that women don't traditionally do. Ask women if they want to get their asses out there and get it in Russian, if a Russian war, if it was to break out. Ask if women wanted to be out there in Ukraine fighting, fighting with Russia. Fuck no. They don't want to do it, bro.
Can I get after that? Can I make a comment after you get finished out?
Okay, real quick. Here's the thing, though. You ever hear of somebody writing a story backward, where somebody thinks of one scene they really want to see on screen, and they write a story around it just to get to that one scene?
Monsters Ball.
For me, it was one of two things. I could see that movie being written either just to see her get the staff of being the elder hunter at the end, because you saw her mother made it a point to walk over to the chief and push him to give her the staff, and then all the women around are cheering like this is some feminist, kind of thing. It was either that scene, or remember the scene when she finally decides to hunt the predator. All the women are going out to collect the rations, the water, and the food. She's walking the opposite way, right? In slow motion, right? The women are going one way. She's walking toward the camera the opposite way, as if to say, I'm going against all of that. And that's one of the major themes we see with these movies. When it comes to women, they got to be better men than the men, and they have to purposely be going against what other women are doing to prove their value, as if what women are doing is completely irrelevant and they need to be doing what men are doing. Like the suggestion is all the women need to be like Naru. You know what I mean? That's kind of narratives.
That's the part for me that comes into the whole feminist idea of it, because the scene that you're talking about, basically, she's just shitting on the other women of the camp, that they're somehow lesser than her because they're going to do their pre-assigned roles and what they're supposed to be doing. It's like, that's bullshit. That's useful for the tribe. They're doing their part for the fucking tribe. What are you upset about? You the only one doing something crazy.
And even the mothers didn't glorify the hunter. Her mother didn't glorify the hunter. She said it's about survival. How many of those hunters died?
Yeah, because she was on an ego mission. She wasn't doing anything that had anything to do with the tribe. Yes. She just wanted the status. And if you want to relate it to real world shit, this is a woman trying to climb the ladder, the corporate ladder, and fuck everybody else. She's just trying to do it for her. That's all she wanted it for. She wanted the title just so she could say she was a hunter. She wasn't doing it because she wanted to feed the tribe or nothing like that. That's what her mother was getting at her about. It's like, dude, it's about this other thing. It's about survival. It ain't about just hunting for the fun of it. No, I just need to do this. Like, oh, that bitch.
And look, the level of hate she displayed after her brother saved her life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was like, she's a hater. Like,
that's what I called her too. I said, man, that's a straight player hating bitch.
You know what?
Same thing I said.
You know what? I'm gonna use my fake PhD in male and female behavior. I got it from Trump University, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. This movie, from which y'all telling me, and I already guessed it because I've written and drawn stories before. One, this movie did a perfect, realization of the selfishness of the female soul. And I'm gonna tell you why. There are men, in our United States military today, you're hacking, going to, you got to think, 90 days for Ranger School, you're bound to lose 50 pounds, guaranteed, minimum. SEALs, you got 6 months. Same thing. The worst of it all, they literally called the pararescue the PJs, which is the longest special forces training ever. 2 years. One of that year is being a paramedic. They literally call it Superman school, and it breaks you off indefinitely. Like it changes people. Even when the females went through Ranger school, they never passed. They just finagled the scores to let them through. I did a story on that. I need to revamp it. A female captain in the Marine, when she tried to go through Ranger school, she said, I was in awe of the men going through the training. It was like they were on another level or two. She said they were doing things I can only dream of. And she even said it just by sheer will. And it's like, so many females say, well, why do women need men? I said, you know what? Men are so damn good at their jobs that you don't even realize why you need them.
Go ahead. Finish your point.
And I was just going to say this. When men stop working, the world is spinning on its axis. When women stop working, we don't even feel it. Go ahead, Doc.
Look, you could apply that to the actual movie. We pointed out throughout the course of the conversation how many times she'd been saved. She'd been saved by her brother multiple times. She'd been saved by the Braves, the Comanche Braves. She was saved by her dog. The Predator himself saved her. Right? She'd been saved over and over and over. And I think it happened so well, she never even acknowledged that it happened at any point.
But she said something. She messed around and said the quiet part out loud about feminism. And when she said it, I caught it. Remember when she was using the white guy as the bait? And she was like, like, I'm not threatening, I'm not viewed as a threat. So what did she say? She said, what you don't realize is that I'm killing you.
Yeah.
And neither will it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that was the feminist mantra right there that she was letting loose. Like, yeah, she let the mission statement slip. Like,
yeah, that was the mission statement. I was like, she vocalized it, like, because that's what they're doing. That's how they was able to slide in, by appearing not to be a threat. While the rest of the world, while men are fighting over, who's going to be in the top spot, he wasn't paying attention to them.
Right.
Doing what they was doing.
But I mean, all of this to say, in the end, like, just the political messaging behind all of it, it's just the same kind of messaging that you see with feminism in general. I mean, the idea is that men occupy the most favorable positions, although hunting is dangerous because you come into contact with beings in nature that can kill you. Okay, you have to sacrifice your body and put your body on the line. Okay,
you have to be uncomfortable.
Now think about what a lot of women are arguing that they don't receive or get from black men or any other men in the community. They don't get protection, right? They're not removed from harm's way. They're not in a position of relative safety. Well, guess what? Men have never really actually been in position, unless they're wealthy and there's some spoiled kids or something like that. Most men exist in harm's way.
Yeah.
It's just a fact of male life that you're disposable. Your body is disposable during war. Your body is disposable as you work jobs.
Yes.
You're not kept away from harm in any way. You're expected to run head straight into danger.
Yes.
With no self-regard. And then you wonder why men bestow honor on one another related to that kind of action. It's because it's a self-sacrificial act. Now, you can't receive that kind of honor without performing self-sacrificial acts, because you basically, it's your duty to do it. Okay? Now, if you decide to take on that duty to demonstrate that you have all of this value and worth, which is really a sign of you not having as much value and worth as women from the beginning. Okay? I mean, these are the facts. Okay? This is just the way species, the human species, the way it protects reproduction. Okay? They want to make sure that women and children are safe so that they can bear children, so on and so forth. One man can have many children with many different women, but it's not the same the other way around. So you got to protect them. But my whole problem is, now you have women lionizing masculinity,
Yes.
and the honors that men bestow upon each other, while at the same time being critical of masculinity. That's
Right.
a problem, man. I have an issue with that.
You know what's funny? What's funny is, and I was telling Artisan this. The whole reason why I saw that movie pop up on Hulu, because I had started watching Alone, right?
Bullshit. Nah, I'm messing with you.
Look, I was watching Alone, so I seen the preview for it. I was like, wait a minute, what is this? You're dropping guys off in the middle of the wilderness by themselves. They got to survive with a handful of tools. I'm like, this might be interesting. First episode, 2 women volunteered. I said, oh, I'm watching this. So the most hilarious thing about it is, you look at the guys, you can almost tell which guy's going to survive to the end, right? And, they'll build their structures or whatever. And what you notice is the sophistication of the structures that the men build, down to building boats. And then you look at what the women build, and it's like, it doesn't. There was even one chick that she's like, they had to take her out for medical reasons because she was getting frostbite on her toes. And the reason why is because she claimed to have these 050 boots on and thermal socks. And she thought just because she had that, she didn't have to make a fire.
Wow.
This is how, and this is supposed to be a woman that's a survivalist, right? And I'm just sitting here looking at it. I'm like, okay, this is the ultimate equalizer. Like, this right here shows you, because you cannot insert feminism or gynocentrism into that situation.
Right.
There's no way to do it, Right. But it's getting ridiculous, man. Like I'm resorting to watching shows like that just to escape feminism.
The feminism. I can tell you, when I saw Prey hit the screen, because I forgot it was coming out, my son and I were watching Primal on Gendy Tartakovsky's Primal. If y'all aren't familiar with it, that's the same dude that did Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
And so I slept on it. For the longest. It's actually really good. It's an animated series, but even in that, when you look at it, you're dealing with this caveman. There's a point where he has a wife, he has kids, and in the first episode, you see who gets taken out and who doesn't. And it's not because she's irrelevant. It's because that's not her training. That's not her space. Her space is dealing with the kids and raising them and so on and so forth. She wasn't out fighting dinosaurs. And there's a reality to that, even in a science fiction context. We do have a separation of roles, but we try to pretend like these separations don't exist. And the current zeitgeist is all about reversal, gender reversal. Anybody can do anything. Biology is irrelevant. Gender is irrelevant. It's plug and play. Anybody can do it just because they exist. And it's the tensions with reality that make it difficult for people pushing that argument. Because every time they want to push it, you got to come up against history. You got to come up against reality. And you have to accept the fact that there's a reason that the majority of women are doing what they're doing. The majority of men are doing what they're doing, even down to sales. When you look at these films and who's purchasing tickets to watch these movies or these shows, the gender divide is still there.
Yeah.
They're catering to women, but women are not going to see the stuff that they want women to see. The feminists want women to see.
No, they still want to watch. They still want to watch romantic comedies and these different little
Real Housewives.
Yeah, and I even said this to my girl one day, because I'll make fun of some of the shows she watches, right? She was like, do I make funny? Like she'll be watching something goofy, and I'll be like, oh man, that show is, the G word. I'll be like, that's super G, right? And she'll be like, do I make fun of your shows? I said, you can't. Everything I watch is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's awesome because you watch it. And that's the problem that we've encountered, is that I genuinely think that part of it is jealousy. That a lot of our stories are so freaking awesome. So what they've been doing is they've been kind of pulling the bait and switch. Let's, like, every single Marvel movie that's come out recently.
Yes.
They're presenting the hero we like.
Yes.
But inserting the female character and making it about her.
Yes.
It's like, come on, man.
Because they believe as long as the person has the powers, it's everybody will like it. It'll be fine.
But I'll tell you,
that's the thing.
all the Avengers have been replaced by women except for Captain America.
Yeah, not yet.
Everyone else has been replaced
Captain
by
Carter's out. Captain Carter's there. Yeah.
I can't.
Sorry, Sam.
Captain Carter's like Omar. She's coming.
But I can tell you what, I am suggesting to you now, if you got 3 hours of time, please watch the movie RRR. Please watch it, because it is devoid of any trace of feminist propaganda. But it's full of propaganda, but it's Indian nationalist propaganda. And when I saw the movie, I felt embarrassed. Because today, what we're being told is that the politics of white women should be the paramount politics in the black community. This is just the facts. When I saw that movie RRR, I felt embarrassed to be black. Because nowhere in the world does anybody else, other than in the Western world, come up with these concepts to try to transplant women into traditional male roles, which are self-sacrificial.
Well, Green Gorilla, like you got to realize, and I wanted to get your take and Dr. T's take on this. I kind of had a little bit of an epiphany. I was like, they're waging a war right now on white masculinity, right? That's the primary target, because white patriarchy has been the predominant power of the Western world for as long as we've been alive, right? So they're waging this war against white masculinity, because that's why they're going after all of the white heroes. They're going after Superman, they're going after Thor, they're going after Luke Skywalker, they're going after all of them. And what I believe is, now that black men are in sort of this new state of mind where we're like, okay, here we are in this country. Where is our patriarchy? Where is our power? And I feel like, because of the advent of the manosphere and things like that, where you start seeing black men voicing their opinions and being more outspoken, I feel like what they've done is they said, hold on, wait a minute. Now we're waging this war against white patriarchy and white masculinity, but we don't want to ignore these black guys. So let's kind of chunk them in there too, so that we can wage a war with them as well, so we can fight this war on two fronts. So now what you see is them inserting all of this BS into black culture and trying to diminish us in any way you can. They even have black women trying to shame black men. And I know you've heard them say this before, because you mentioned it earlier. Oh, black men just want to be the new white men. In the sense that, white men were so oppressive to their women, which that's not even completely true, but they were so oppressive to their women. So now black men think it's their turn, so that they can do us the way that they were supposedly done in the 50s. And like, am I wrong? Do y'all see that?
I see that.
You're not wrong at all.
That's something that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me, Angry?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Hold on, man. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you
okay,
hear
my
us?
bad. Yeah, I can hear you. I couldn't at first. Look, I think that this is what happened. After the civil rights movement, black people were supposed to be the primary beneficiaries, both black men and women, of that legislation.
Yeah.
Right? But white women found a way, and they were staunch segregationists. Like everybody wants to just give white women a pass, like they weren't colonizers, like they didn't own slaves, like they weren't with the project of segregation and lynching, and like
Shout
they
out
weren't
Bill Burr.
participants, full participants in, genocide. They were full participants in all of this. And one thing you must be, you got to be aware of it. Every patriarch passes through the legs of a white woman. They reproduce patriarchy. They reproduce it. Okay? So this whole notion that they don't like the patriarchy, they want to smash it. There's a contingent of white women that are like that, but the vast majority of white women know full goddamn well, okay, that the reason why they developed this strategy was to undercut black folks, Native Americans, and Mexicans, all of the undesirables. All they did was just undercut the whole effort and energy of the civil rights movement. That's why you saw this. This is where you get this, okay? And you can see it, and I think Dr. Johnson can corroborate it. They're just using the mimetic idea that black men want to be like white men because they never wanted us to have the same power as white men to begin with. They never wanted us to be able to have, control over the culture and over the society and to have like equal input. They never wanted that. That's been a problem from the beginning. It ain't been women, black women. They've never been perceived as an issue. Okay, it's always been black men that's been the issue. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, let me just tell you, bro, real talk. I hope they keep on with this program of pussifying their own men. I hope they keep pussifying white men. Keep doing it. Keep pussifying white men. But I'm going to tell you what's going to end up happening. China's not going to pussify their men.
No.
India's not going to pussify their men.
No.
And I hope Africans are not pussifying their men. Okay? Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get so many white men who believe they're women and cutting their penises off that they're going to be ready right for the slaughter. I mean, if this keeps going on, they're opening themselves up. They're becoming wet noodles. With no spine.
Gigi, they think they'll get out there and be like the women king. Don't worry about it.
There's a couple things. First, this is one of the reasons Tommy Curry dealt with the idea in The Man Not of this, mimicry that black men are accused of trying to be white men. He dealt with that. He proved historically that has not been the case. Black men have not tried to be white men, and it's not a reality. But it is a feminist accusation that we get thrown at, and that's actually where black feminists come in because they're useful, particularly to white liberals. They are allowed to say what white liberals and white racists, outright racists, can't say. They say it for them. And by accusing black men, they kind of defang us publicly. Oh, looks like we lost somebody. All right. So that's part of it. But, one of the things that I had to look at when I was listening to Angry Man a second ago, we were talking about, this whole agenda we're seeing in these films. The irony is it depends on white patriarchy in order for these things to happen. If you look at what's been happening for this last week with Warner Brothers and Discovery, David Zaslav cutting off all these films like Batgirl and all that kind of stuff. This industry has depended on powerful white men to allow those narratives to go out on the prospect that they will make a return. They'll make a return. They'll make money. Now you're starting to see powerful white men cutting the strings, and all hell is breaking loose. So it's an interesting irony to me to see that this whole agenda to take down patriarchy depends on patriarchy.
Yeah, the thing with it, and I, always tell guys this. The concept of feminism is, it's really, it's pseudo, it's power by proxy. Just like you just said. So they were useful idiots. But they're not as useful anymore.
Right.
They're just becoming idiots now. And if it's not going to be useful, if it's not going to be profitable, if it's not going to be beneficial, then I'm really interested to see how that's going to clash with the identity politics. Like how that's going to clash with these agendas that they've been pushing for so long. Because really, you know, in my opinion, they push these agendas. Men that are at the top of the pyramid, they push these agendas so that the women that are at the bottom of the pyramid will keep the men that's at the bottom of the pyramid suppressed, so that they don't pose a threat to the men that are higher up the actual pyramid.
Well, one of the things that you know, Black feminist ideology has really pushed was the re-emergence of a Black messiah figure or a race man, a Black race man. So they don't want that. Of course, white people don't want that. That's why, you know, Hoover came out with COINTELPRO in order to stop that. Now you got a self-regulating form of shaming and guilting that prevents it from happening. So now you'll have Black men say, you want to be like a white man. So you're saying that a Black man wanting to start organizations in order to defend himself against white colonization and oppression, or want to be white men by wanting to fight against it with militancy and violence?
Yeah.
That's absurd to me. But now you got Black folks who are gay and Black folks who are women and feminists. They don't want to see the emergence of Black militancy anymore, because to them, that's trying to be like the KKK, or it's trying to be like white colonial settlers. This is how stupid Black politics has become. It has become the politics of white women. Yeah. It is the exact politics of white women, and it's self-regulating. I say
Black politics is nowadays, and this is why I had an issue with Black Lives Matter as soon as it came out. Black politics nowadays is the politics of every intersectional group. Like they do the same thing. The racism is like the damn train engine, and every other group is like the box car that's attached to it. And so they use racism to pull those cars, but then when it makes it stop, the only thing that gets any benefits are the cars. Racism, the Black part of it it always pulls and pushes the agenda, but when it's time to collect on the benefits of that agenda, Black people never collect on it, you know. And if they do collect on it, it's going to be Black women, and it's always going to be something ridiculous that has absolutely no bearing on any type of infrastructure for the community. It'll always be some shit like, oh, we got a bill passed that we can wear our hair any kind of way we want to at work, or something stupid or arbitrary like that, you know.
That's why I call it the politics of recognition. All of it is a cheap politics. I call it fuck politics. Okay, it's about who you can have sex with, what gender you can identify with, and being a token working for somebody's job. I want to be included. It's not revolutionary. It's not like let's change the system in a substantive way. It's like, how many tokens can we put in these slots? Okay, and so at the end of the day, you are never going to get anything revolutionary out of that politics, because it's nothing more than neoliberal politics to begin with. Women aren't trying to change the basic structure of the society that we live in. They just want to fit in to the top slots without actually doing the violence in order to maintain the system.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's exactly like this movie.
Exactly.
And they want to have honors related to committing acts of violence because they find it honorable.
Yes.
They want the honors of men.
Yes.
And they want the privileges of women and the responsibilities associated with neither.
And it's funny that you said that, because I made a statement on my channel. Women and children enjoy the freedoms and respect of which, let me back it up. Women and children enjoy the freedoms of respect as much as the fear their men can invoke. And children enjoy the freedom.
No, go ahead.
And it's funny because when you talk about that sacrifice, that militaristic sacrifice, that above the call of duty, if you will, there's a lot of guys who somebody got shot, they're running 50 yards down with them on their back, all their equipment, patching them up. Hell, you got guys who are bullet ridden, still manning a machine gun. That's not in a woman's nature to do that. And see, what you're saying about this movie, because it reminds me of so many others, women are the only ones who downgraded their roles as women. And they've gotten so terrible at it when it comes to raising kids. How does men who still do the most dangerous jobs to this day raise better children than you? Find the time to do it. And like you said, they want the glory to do violence, not the glory to be honorable, not the glory of actually having their brother's back or their sister's back. And it's gonna cost them a lot. Like, I literally posted something on my Facebook, and this chick said, "Why do we need men?" And I had a transgender chick who I went to, a transgender man now, I guess she was a chick now, quote unquote a man. She told me, "Why do women need men?" I was so tempted to be like, the day you become one, you'll find out why.
Well, here's the thing, folks. We're past the 2-hour mark. This was initially going to be an hour, so I'm afraid I am going to have to go. But I do want to get everybody's brief closing thoughts. And I want to say beforehand, I appreciate everybody up here who took the time to come up. I do appreciate it because, Gigi, I approached Gigi and Artisan first, and that was last minute as it was, and they were willing to come up. Angry Man, Charles, y'all popped up. I appreciate it. But I want to get closing thoughts, and y'all can go in whatever order you want to. Tell people your overall perspective on this film and whether or not it's watchable. What do you think? Anybody?
You want to go first?
Well, I'll go first. I talked about this a lot in this film. 2/3 of it is watchable. Like Angry Man was saying, it has some good bones. There was a decent story in there.
Mm-hmm.
They just messed up the rest of the movie. It's watchable. Some people will like it. Some people won't. I still got a debate going on with Sam. Why did Predator got so stupid at the end, and we're putting it on a gunshot to the dome, but that doesn't track with something that happened earlier. But it's just a movie. But you should watch it in the sense that you need to understand this narrative that these brothers up here, Angry Man, Gigi, and Dr. Tiasan, are lining out for you. This is the narrative that is out there. You need to watch this shit so you understand what's out there, especially if you got kids. Because this is the stuff they pump into your kids. You may know is BS. But like Angry Man was pointing out, some kid that don't want to follow history don't know it's BS. Those are the ones they're trying to get at. You need to watch it so you can counteract that shit. Mm-hmm. So you know the plays that they running. Don't turn your head and just say they running stupid plays. You need to know what plays they running so you can actually make sure you got your counters for that shit.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the only reason to watch it for me, unless you just like, abusing yourselves.
Yeah, I agree with Artisan. Like I said, I went downstairs that day and turned on Hulu and it was there, and I was like, screw it. I was like, screw it. So but I'm glad I watched it. And the reason why I'm glad is because I think everybody should watch it because they're adjusting. They're adapting. And the reason why I say they're adapting is because they didn't make her a complete Mary Sue because they're tired. They know people are tired of Mary Sue.
Yes.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a happy medium, which is why they had her kind of failing at a couple of things and make it look like she still had a little bit of a struggle. See, they're trying to pull the okie doke. She's a Mary Sue in sheep's clothing, So, yeah, you got to watch it because, and see, nowadays, when they start doing this, you're going to have to start being more picky, like the way I am. Because if you're not, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna overlook it. And whether you know it or not, it's programming your thinking.
Right.
It's programming your thinking. You don't think it is, but it is. Like, even with me being on YouTube, there's certain things that I won't say because I know the algorithm doesn't like it. I find myself in my personal life avoiding saying those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be like, why am I avoiding that? I'm not on YouTube, you know? So you got to watch these things, and you got to watch movies like this and see how they're trying to push the narrative, you know, and still go up there and give it a honest review. If you think it sucks, give it, you know what I'm saying? Like, and spread the word. The reason why it sucks, because somebody might not have realized it, and then you pointed it out, and it's like, oh shit, they did do that. So that's
real quick. I do want to say I agree with the adapting point, and that's an excellent point, because I was just watching the third. I guess it's the second. I think it's the third She-Hulk trailer. Yeah. So everybody remembers in the last one, there's a point where the Hulk throws a rock, and then She-Hulk throws it further. And in this latest trailer I saw, the Hulk after that throws a bigger rock out of sight, and she just goes, "Oh, you got it," and she turns around. The only reason that we see that shift from one trailer to the next, I believe, is because enough people raised enough shit about the Mary Sue dynamic that you're starting to see them adapt. I completely agree with that point. They're starting to adapt.
And I've said that about Marvel for a while, is that they'll do the same feminist stuff, just the way they do it is more covert. It's more behind the scenes, because they try to listen to the fans. They're trying to slip it under the radar, like Angry Man was saying, the Mary Sue in sheep's clothing. They trying to get in below the wire, you know. So they'll put it in there, but they try not to focus on it too much. So you just see it in the corner of your vision and not, you know, full frontal. That shit right there, that's them listening to the fans and seeing where that outrage was coming from, because they still got to pimp this show off on you. Yeah, they still got to pimp it off on you, and Mickey want his money.
Real talk. Let's go with Charles, and then we'll close out with the Green Gorilla.
Always a pleasure, fellas. I'm gonna give an honest review and do a show about it this week, but I already pretty much knew the plot, and it's crazy because there are so many movies I watched when, you know, growing up as an 80s child, when you watch Red Sonja, Cynthia Roth, you know, Rothrock, and you watched all these kick-ass women growing up. They didn't try to be men. They used their cunning, they used their abilities, they used their flexibility, they used their women's intuition. Everything that made them great as a woman, they used to the maximum. And you appreciate it. But I've had to see this shit in real life as a soldier and as an officer. And I've told so many female rookies, look, don't be a man, be an officer. And you're jumping inside of a guy's face. And I had to tell him, whoa, that 6'3", 270-pound guy that I got to fight, you got to fight. And hopefully you know enough to keep that guy from killing you. Mm. And when you see these movies, I see it as emboldening women to put themselves in harm's way that's unnecessary. Whereas if I insult any of you guys up here, win, lose, or draw, if I do something that's insulting or dangerous enough, you're going to check me on it physically. And I've seen so many times when kids go to school, and I see the videos where girls will run up into a boy's face. No matter how strong or how fast this boy may be compared to her, she doesn't care. And this like, I believe Valdez said it best, this is programming you. Yeah, and a lot of these girls are going to put themselves in a situation where their mouths are making checks their ass can't cash. Mm-hmm. Like, I tell a lot of these people out there, look, if you want there's about 200 years of comic book fandom between us. Some of our favorite characters are female. Mm-hmm. But they were well-written stories. You actually grew to love this character. You cheered for them. I should not hear or even witness a character within the first 10, 20 minutes be like, I hate this motherfucker. Actually develop. If you want to see true female heroism, look at the female who's always doing her best, the female who's supportive, the female who knows and respects the masculine principle as much as the feminine. But till then, guys, whoo! Thanks.
All right, man. Appreciate that. GG, close us out, man.
Man, just, so many of y'all had such great commentary about this movie. But, as far as I'm concerned, with what Angry Man said about, them adapting and trying to put lipstick on the Mary Sue pig, but you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Okay. We all know that this is feminist identity politics, which is primarily propaganda designed to demonstrate that women ought to be able to share in the same sort of neoliberal fruits as men. Okay. But at the end of the day, you ladies don't want these male problems for real. You don't want this male situation to come down on you, because like they say, everybody want to be a nigga till it's time to actually be a nigga. You know what I'm saying? You really don't want that drama coming your way. But if you keep pushing, like Faulkner says, you're gonna get what you expecting. Nobody's gonna sit there and say, if you decide that femaleness has become so devalued that you have to value masculinity over it and behaving like a man over it, you're going to be treated like a man. That is the danger. And ultimately, man, like I said, it's entertaining. I thought it was entertaining visually, okay? I didn't like the political subtext, but I will say this in the end, if you want to see a real nationalist propagandist movie, go watch RRR. It's unapologetic. And black people used to be this way, at least in the 70s.
Yeah.
Now we're so far away from that. To even suggest it is to suggest that black men want to be white men. So the men in India, by killing the white man, wants to be a white man, right? The Chinese in their country expelling white people out of it and ruling over their own territory. They want to be white dudes. So every man fighting for his freedom and his ability to be himself most arrogantly and robustly is trying to be a white dude. Fuck that conversation and fuck that white women's politics, man. All that shit is the banana in the tailpipe. It's a red herring. It's fake. It's phony. Because white women been behind white men the whole time. Peep game. Watch what's happening. Don't listen to what people are saying. Watch what they're doing. So that's all I got to say. And I invite all of the members on this panel, man. When I do this RRR review, you included Dr. Johnson, man. I want you to rate it and to review it with me, because it is the exact diametrical opposite of identity politics in the United States.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna go watch it.
I'm gonna watch it.
When are you gonna do it? When are you gonna do the review?
Whenever y'all figure, tell me a day that's good for y'all. Because I know y'all all do shows damn near every day.
Is it a series or a movie?
It is a 3-hour movie.
Okay.
It's just one movie.
So we can do the show in an hour. Now I'm laughing when I say that.
Yeah.
But I want for you guys to see how politics is taking place elsewhere in the world, as opposed to how it's taking place in America and in our community in particular. It's night and day, bro. I'm mad. I'm flabbergasted. I'm pissed off to the highest level of pistivity.
Pistivity. Can't get no more pissed than that.
All right.
Well, I'll watch it and check in with you, GG. Let you know when I finish watching it, because I already finished my other show, so I got time today. So I'll check it out.
I'm gonna go watch it.
I'm gonna go watch it. I'm gonna watch it now. It beats the hell out of watching Vikings over and over again.
If we can, let's shoot to do it Thursday. If y'all are in, if you can't come, it's fine. But please, people need to see the difference. So Thursday is what I'm shooting for. If y'all watch it,
all right, cool.
Sound like a bet.
And everybody have a
man.
second.
So blessings and honor.
What time Thursday?
Well, you know, like maybe about 6:30. You know,
Okay.
6:30 Central Standard Time.
Central.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
All right. Everybody
Should
have a
be a-
safe night, and God bless Black Dynamite.
God bless,
I
man.
appreciate all of y'all coming through. All right,
All right,
I'll let y'all.
Much love to y'all, man. To all of y'all.
Hey, likewise, man. Appreciate it.
Peace.
Take y'all down. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all checking through. I'm interested to see the comments, see what y'all are talking about. I hope you enjoyed the review, and check out Thursday night, the RRR review on the Green Gorilla channel. You should be subscribed to everybody that came up tonight. Officer Charles Faulkner, Artisan MC, of course, the Angry Man, the Green Gorilla channel. You need to be subscribed to all of those. So get with us. And other than that, I appreciate y'all coming through. Y'all have a good one. And I will see y'all soon. Peace.